Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Finding Folklore, the storytelling podcast that brings all that is myth, legend, and folklore from Scotland and around the world. I'm Ryan, and today I am joined by the wonderful storyteller all the way from Chile, Sandra. How are you,
Hi.
Sandra?
Hi, Ryan. I'm very good. Thank you for having me here in your podcast.
Thanks for being here. So you are going to tell us a story today, and then once you've done that, we'll have a quick Q&A for anyone who kind of wants to stick around and hear a bit more about yourself and about the work you and I are doing together. Um, so without
Oh,
further
good.
ado, I'll uh, I'll let you take it away.
Okay. Thank you very much. So today I'm going to retell the story of the quinoa. We all know, well, most of us know what the quinoa is. This seed is called the mother seed, and this story it comes from the Aymara people in the Andes. The Aymara people live in Chile, Peru, and Bolivia. A long, long time ago, when the Aymara people live in the mountains, they used to talk to the stars. It was a time where humans, animals, and the gods used to walk the earth and talk and communicate and tell stories to each other. During this time, the magnificent condor, that's a condor, a bird with the wingspan of 2 to 3 meters, used to take the messages from the clans, the tribes of the Aymara people living in the mountains to the gods. It was a messenger. And it happens that in a small village in the Andes, there lived a group of people that were growing different types of potatoes and corn and all kind of vegetables that resisted the cold of the mountains. The rain in there is called Shoshen, this the god that bring the rains and the clouds. But sometimes Shoshen get angry and it takes everything and leave nothing behind. One of those in one of those episodes, this group of people, this group of Aymaras living just by the foot of the Andean hills, realized that they were going to have very little for the winter. And there was a young boy in there who was very curious. And he used to walk around, the hills and visit others, Aymara groups, exchange stories, exchange a little bit of grains and some of the potatoes they had grown in his village. But realized that at some point in the plantation that was owned by his community, the potatoes were disappearing. They were just going, and the people got really concerned. They were really worried because they were saving those for the winter. They had very little for them. And one of the elders told the group, we have a thief. There's someone stealing our potatoes and taking them away. We have to keep an eye on them. So we have to protect the plantation or we will starve. So they all decided to send like a guardian, someone that would look after the plantation at night. And they sent this young boy. He was 15 at the time, and they gave him a bell. So he would hide in there, and whenever he saw or heard something strange, he would have to ring the bell. He didn't say that he's been taking some potatoes at that time and taking them to some other plant because he was exchanging stories. He kept up to himself, but he realized that there were too many of the potatoes missing. And he said, I've taken just one or two, so I'm not the thief. So he was waiting there during the night and it was getting really cold. He had his blanket in there. And all of a sudden, behind some of the bushes, he heard some noise, and kind of a music he had never heard before. So he crept slowly, slowly And when he got there, he opened a little yucca point in the bushes. He just moved the bushes aside and he looked in there and he saw this beautiful, beautiful maiden. They were sitting around in a circle. And then they stood up and they were singing and dancing with voices that really fascinated him. He felt compelled to listen. And this Eustace maiden had this beautiful, beautiful hair that was very long and black and silky down to their knees. And they were wearing this gown they were made of. He didn't know what, but it was like delicate gossamer blues and greens. And he wasn't sure if he wanted to ring the bell. He was so compelled to keep watching, to keep looking at them, that he forgot about the bell. And all of a sudden, one of the maiden turned around and the Eustace saw him. And he grabbed the bell and started ringing, calling the rest of the village. And as he was doing that, they disappeared, except for one. She stood in there and she looked at him and he looked at her. And there was something in there. There was this silent communication that you can only speak with your eyes. And he couldn't allow the men of the tribe to get her to, see what she was doing in there, or ask her question, or even to keep her in the field. And as he was turning around to talk to them, the maiden became a bird and she flew away. When he told the people of the village, they didn't believe him. They were really very suspicious of him already. Some people knew he'd been taking some potatoes and exchanging the potato for some stories. But he said that he had not been stealing them. He couldn't carry that many anyway. There was only one person that believed him, and it was the chairman of the tribe. So the chairman told him, what you have seen are stars. They don't belong here. They just come here to dance and to sing. And what you have seen, it was not for your eyes. You better forget that. But the boy was so, at this point, he laughed with that maiden, the Eustace, that he had seen for like 2 seconds, that he wanted to know more. He wanted to find where she was living. She wanted to go to the highest mountain. He wanted to climb the Andes and reach the stars. So he asked the chairman, look, I really need to see her at least one more time. I have to. How can I get there? How can I reach the stars? And the chairman, who was an old man, he just nodded his head and said, I'm going to give you one tip, one way that you can go to the stars, but you might not be able to come back. Are you willing to risk that? And the boy said, yes, please, just tell me. I have to see her again. I really have to see her. I cannot live without her. So the shaman told him, you need to climb to the highest peak of the Andes and call for the condor. If the condor hear you, he will come. And if he sees that your heart is pure, he would take you to the stars. So the boy did that. And for many days and many nights, he walked up and climbed up the hills. He bear the cold and the wind and the snow until he got to the highest peak and waited in there and called for the condor. And he played music with the little panpipes until the condor heard the music and flew down and circled the tip of the mountains and saw the boy and approached him. And the boy told him, I need your help. I need you to take me to the stars. I must see this Eustace, this maiden. I'm in love with her. I have to see her at least one more time. The condor looked at him and said, that is not possible. You're human. You're a mortal. You cannot reach the stars. And the boy said, please, just give me this. Just one. Just once. And the condor looked at the boy and saw that his heart was pure, and he felt sorry for him. So he said, okay, I'll take you there, but you might not come back. And the boy said, no, that's okay, just take me there. And he jumped on the back of the condor, and they flew high up in the sky, higher and higher and higher over the clouds. And he could see all the peaks of the mountain. He could see the whole Andes from there. He could see his village. He could see everything. And then he got really cold, and he saw that from the clouds, the darkness started. And then he saw the stars. And the condor flew high up until they reached a city in the sky and left him there. And he said, now you have to go and find her. And for some reason, because fate is funny, and the fate played games on us more than once, he found her. And she said to him, I've been waiting for you. I knew that you will come. And he's staying there with her for several days, and they love each other, and they share food. And she cooked for him this seed that he couldn't find a name for it. It was golden and beautiful, and it tasted like nothing he had tasted before. But after 7 days in there, the news that told him, you must go back or you cannot return. And at that time, the boy was feeling a little bit of longing for his people and his parents and his family. And although he fell in love with her and he loved her dearly, he also loved his people, his family, and his land. And before calling for the condor, the maiden asked him, take this with you, and gave him a little plate with golden seeds. And he took them, got back in the condor, and flew back down to earth from the sky, from the heavens. So from the darkness, from the stars, through the cloud. And as he was approaching earth, he saw the mountains and he saw his land. And as he was flying on the back of the condor, he let go of the seed, and the seed fell on the ground, and they became the mother seed, the one that would feed his people. And he kept flying and flying and flying and delivering seed all over the Andean villages. What happened to the boy after that? We don't really know. It's a mystery. We don't know if he actually managed to get back home, or if he went back to the star, or maybe he just became mist. And that's the end of the story.
Thank you. That was, I like that story. Who knew that quinoa came from the stars?
Yes, there you go. It's the golden seed. They call it the mother seed.
Okay, that's a really nice story. I like a lot. Now I've seen you tell far more stories than this in person, and I like that there are a lot of kind of similarities between while the stories themselves are wildly different. Stories from kind of where you're from and stories from here in Scotland. There are still a lot of crossover and similarities between them, and I like seeing the differences and the similarities, and I really like the way you tell stories as well.
Oh, thank you, Ryan. Thanks.
You're welcome. So, Sandra, what got you into storytelling?
What got me into storytelling? That's a very good question. I think I grew up around stories. It was part of my childhood as well. Mom and dad used to research. They used to research folklore. Dad was a historian, so I was always around stories and history. So I had a lot of books at home, so I suppose they were just part of my childhood and an integral part of me as a person. I also believe that stories do connect, and like you said before, there's so many similarities. It doesn't matter if you're from Chile, Scotland, Ireland, or Peru, or Brazil, or Australia. We all have a similar perception of the world, or how we identify magical things and magical beings.
Yeah, no, and I think many of us who do tell stories, who are drawn to it. We have been since childhood for one reason or another. Like much like yourself, I grew up surrounded by stories. My gran was a storyteller, and yeah, you just kind of latch onto it from youth. And I think that there was a brief time where I thought I should stop spending so much time thinking about stories. And then eventually I was like, you know what? No, I'm just going to lean into it. So it's, yeah.
You can't avoid it, Ryan. Once you fight, when it's part of you, you can't avoid it. You can ignore it for a while, but it's a call and it would get you at some point. Sooner or later, you
Eventually,
will get
yeah,
hooked into
eventually
it.
it gets you. So absolutely. So I know you're passionate about collecting stories. Do you want to talk briefly
Yeah.
about that?
As I was mentioning to you before, some people, when they travel, they collect postcards, souvenirs, they buy little things. I normally, I've been doing a lot of traveling since I was a young kid, and I live in several countries. So for me, it's collecting stories. So wherever I go, I just on holidays or places that I had lived, I collect stories from those places. I like to bring them to the light and study them a little bit more because it helped me to understand our human nature. So basically, I got stories from Australia, where I lived for many years, from Chile, Peru, Brazil, Spain, Italy, and obviously Scotland as well. So it's my thing. It's collecting stories.
There's a very eclectic mixture of stories as well.
I know,
That's
I
a lot
know.
of different kind of cultures to take stories from. So
Yeah. But
it's
then
good.
again, the similarities between them sometimes are striking. I mean, there could be different names, different gods, different type of magical beings, but then you connect them all, and it's at the end of the day, we're all humans.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of your work in Scotland, um, yourself are an Irish storyteller by the name of Caroline, and myself have come together recently to kind of form a storytelling group that we
Yes.
called the Compass Storytelling Collective.
Yeah.
So we've already performed 2 live shows this year. Off the top of
Sold
my
out.
head, yes, yeah, we sold out 2 live
Very
shows this year.
important, very important.
So, where I tell traditional Scottish stories, Caroline tells stories from Ireland or homeland, and you tend to tell stories from kind of Latin America. And it's we have similar themes, but the stories are different.
Mhm.
Uh, so far, the shows have been fantastic, if I say so myself.
Yes.
So, and we
Yes.
have had some very
And I
positive.
support that opinion.
Yes, and we've had great feedback from those who
Yeah.
have attended.
Yeah.
My
Mhm.
favorite feedback was from our Dark Tales show, where I believe it was the show was referred to as very funny and scary, which that's ideal. That's what I'm after. So our next show is in Edinburgh on
Yes.
the 9th of May.
Nice.
Do you want to talk briefly, let the people listening know about that show?
So we're gonna talk about the Embers of Beltane. We're gonna tell stories about fire and fate that are coming from, as Ryan said, as you said before, three different traditions that hear stories from Scotland, from Ireland, and I'm gonna bring stories from Brazil this time. So again, all the stories that I collect are from places that I had lived or worked or stayed there for one or another reason, for many reasons, but I think that's going to be quite interesting because the connections that we have are amazing. The connecting the stories. I think in this time when things are so, there's so many issues with the world, people are so divided. It's important that we show that the connection that we present through our stories uh, aim to remind us that we have a common humanity that sometimes we forget. So yep, come
And
over.
it's
You can
so,
give the address where we're
sorry.
gonna be.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, we will be performing at the Arthur Conan Doyle Centre at Palmerston Place in Edinburgh. So if anyone is in or around the Edinburgh area on the 9th of May, please do come and see us. We hope for our third sold out show this year.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's
definitely.
nice to be doing kind of Beltane stories as well, because Beltane, used to be a massive pagan festival, and over the last 1,000 years, it's kind of got smaller due to uh, Christianity and whatnot. But
Mhm,
these festivals seem to be making more of a comeback, and it's Beltane in general still quite big in Edinburgh. They have the yearly fire festival. It's a big
mhm.
yeah, it's still a reasonably big event here, and it's only getting larger. So it's nice to play part in kind of celebrating that as well, even if it is going to be slightly late,
Okay.
but still. Um,
Yeah,
okay, so
that's
yeah,
interesting.
if you can also find more about the Compass Storytelling Collective. We now have an Instagram page, which we
We're improving.
will post occasionally. But yeah. And Sandra, where can people find you if they want to see more about what you're doing?
They can contact me. I say contact me. My Instagram page is sandra.nlp coaching, because that's kind of my things as well. So they can contact me through my WhatsApp page as well. But I got all the information in that Instagram page with my number, and we have actually now a email address.
That we do have an
And
email address
yeah,
there for the
we have
Compass
an email
Storytelling
address.
Collective, yes. So it
Yeah.
is info at the Compass, no, info at Compass Storytelling Collective.com. There's no the
Yeah.
in it. And so yeah,
There you
info
go.
at
So
Compass
can
Storytelling Collective.com. So if you are interested in booking us to perform a show, or find out prices or anything like that, you can reach us either there or through Instagram. Um, Thanks for joining me, Sandra.
Oh, you're very welcome.
And
I'm glad you enjoyed the story.
we'll yes, I did very much, and we'll I'll have you back soon. So, thanks for everyone listening at home. Until next time, may the devil walk behind you. Bye for now.